Hello and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and The Fool.
So I was watching Linus Tech Tips.
Yep.
And he was talking about how he's made something like 6,000 videos on one channel, and he has like 4 channels.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm probably in most of those videos. I'm not in all of them, but in most of them. And my other channel has like 2,000, and I'm probably in most of those. And my other channel has like 100 videos, and I'm in most of those, whatever it is. And he was saying, and I've been doing this for like, I can't remember what he said, like 8 years, 10 years, something like that. And he was saying, he noticed that Philip DeFranco lost a while back. I don't know how old this video was either that I was watching, but he noticed that Philip DeFranco lost like 2 billion views.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, how did that happen? But then Philip DeFranco deleted every video before 2017 he'd ever made. Oh. And Philip DeFranco's been doing this for 14 years.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of videos.
Yeah.
So that's why he lost 2 billion views. And they don't know why he did it, but they were speculating that the reason was when you've done so much, you have no idea what you've said in the past.
Yeah.
And you don't want that around haunting you. So someone could like come along and be like, well, back like this time ago, you did this or said this, and that isn't proper right now. And the way Linus phrased it was interesting. He said, so, it was edgy stuff. But what I'll define as edgy is things that were considered okay when they were said, but are currently not considered okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because there was room for, I don't know if this is what he intended, but there was room for it to become okay again.
Yeah.
But it was like, he doesn't know what he said 2 weeks ago, let alone. Because it's kind of crazy. Humans, we didn't interact in a society where everything was remembered. I think, like, basically everything was forgotten.
Well, there used to be this thing, right, where you are, you're in a town, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're a kid in a town, like, something bad happens, or, like, your family's, like, a crook family in that town, like, they're part of some sort of mafia, or just, like, your father's, like, a deadbeat, something goes on. And you're like, when I grow up, I'm going to get out of this town and move on, start my life anew, and my past isn't going to follow me. Yeah. Now, you're like, you move on, and then, like, Facebook messages pop up, sort of, like, posting, like, hey, it's this guy! And, like, you're always tracked of what you did.
And if someone is annoyed at you for some reason, they just dig through your Twitter for the last 10 years and find something that they can put a spin on or is bad. Yeah. But I think, like, there was a lot more... I don't think people were more forgiving, but it was a lot easier to be forgiven because nobody remembered what you did.
Yeah, there wasn't a permanent record.
And even the stuff they remember, they're like, oh yeah, they did that thing, yeah, but they seem pretty cool, so it probably wasn't that bad. And it sort of gets softened over time.
Yeah.
And so what Linus was asking, he was like, should we delete should we delete the last 5 years or something or less?
Yeah.
He was actually kind of considering it sounded like. And I thought that was... I don't think I would want to personally, because I'm not in a as he's it's his life, and it's almost like he's in a more fragile position because if he loses it, he loses everything.
Yes.
And also there's a lot more people that would want to, he's got 6 million subscribers or something. There's a lot more people that would want to take him down.
Yeah. Well, it's weird, right? Because I was actually looking at past videos that I've made and just doing a comparison. So basically, there's sort of this thing in YouTube, which I'm doing basically a thing people are very much advised against in YouTube, which is you make videos, you see what works, and then you continue working on the videos that work.
Yeah.
So what I do is I'll make videos, and then sometimes the thing won't work, and I'll just keep rolling with it because it's what I want to do. And I will try to make that thing work instead of seeing what works. And I'll see what works and then try to make it work that way. But, so those videos, the average video, right? Let's say it gets 100 views.
Yeah.
At the end of a week. These videos get 50 views, 20 views at the end of the week. Yeah. Sometimes even less than that. And after the end of the week, sometimes they'll keep growing in views, but it's incredibly slow. But still, they're getting to 20 views or whatever, 50 views. I go back... I'm going back to the very beginning, and the first videos I made, there's over 20 of them with 0 views, and then a whole bunch of them have 1 view, and then some of them have 3 views, and then it's the biggest one I had back then that I was watched has like 100 views, and
Yeah.
I was just like, think like the sheer scale of how much it's gone up. It's kind of weird, and also it's like those videos will probably never be watched because they're old.
Yeah.
And they're old gaming video. But it's weird because the type of videos I make that get the most views actually exponentially grow almost.
Right, like the tutorial videos.
Yeah, they do a S-curve, more accurately.
They do a logistical curve.
Yeah. But it's just because like they'll start like, yep, and then they'll start spiking.
So,
But yeah, I have some videos, like 1,000 subscriber channel, I have some videos that have never been viewed. Which is just kind of interesting.
yeah, and in there... Yeah. Yeah, actually, since, I think we have on this channel, like, 5 subscribers, 6 maybe?
3.
We have 3?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I thought we should shout out some smaller people. Like you on your channel, Lorthorn. You've just become a professional YouTuber, maybe.
Maybe. Depends on if YouTube likes my videos or not.
Yeah, because you've gotten up to enough for them to monetize the channel.
Yes.
So congratulations on that. Go check him out. He's all right. Like to help out the little guy once in a while.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, you going back to the stuff you say in the past, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
I think if you ever I don't know if when you're looking back at those old videos or if you listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
There's stuff that is said that you don't remember saying, or you're like, I knew that, or I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's stuff that you also disagree with. You'll be like,
Yeah.
wow. This has only been going for, 2 years, 3 years? Something, 3, I think.
2 consistently, 3
Yeah.
overall.
Like, if you go to the very first one, I think there's a lot that... No, I think I agree with most of the stuff, even from 3 years ago. But my...
Your way of talking.
my way of thinking or something is almost different, too.
Your way of talking is different.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty tired when we were making all of those. And I was tired all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I think that... I don't think I changed so much as I gained energy to get to where I should be, sort of.
Yeah.
Although, for the last month, I've been having troubles with talking because my throat's been so sore. Like, so I've been trying to talk less, and I can't. I was like, I'm not going to talk at all. Like, I'm house sitting. It's just me alone for 2 days. I'm not going to talk at all. And then I'm going for a walk and talking to the dog. And I'm like,
That's a problem.
like day 1, it's like, okay, bye.
So it's like literally you talk so much that the added of like when you're normally quiet, which is reading and using your computer. But since you're using a computer, you have to talk to it now.
Yeah, and I don't read as much because I can't use the books very well.
So you actually are being affected by talking too much.
Yeah, and I've gone over the edge a little. And plus, in the last 2 weeks, I ate like green banana like every other day, and man, that did a number on my throat, I think.
Yeah, that's high amount of acid.
Like, I think in the last
Basic, I don't know.
3 or 4 days, bananas do something, I don't know. But in like the last 4 days or so, I've not had bananas, and my throat's been feeling a lot better. So, and I had a bit of plantain yesterday, but but only at the start of the day, and so it's been over 24 hours since even my last plantain. Yeah. So, Hail Mary.
Besides your strange medical conditions.
Yeah. So one of the things I remember is when I first played Ancient Domains of Mystery, I said I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't see the appeal of this game, sort of thing. And then I played it more, and now I think it's one of my favorite games. Like, Caves of Cud, I still do not get. Like, I feel crazy like that people like it. That there's like the game I feel craziest about is Undertale.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Yeah, very itchy head. Okay. So yeah, Undertale, I do not Okay, I kind of get why people like it, but I feel like something's wrong. Like, it's like playing Pokemon. Like, I've said it before many times. Another game that gets a huge amount of praise that I don't understand is The Witcher 3. It's a good game. It's got a lot of good things going for it, but it's kind of like someone took, like, Ubisoft, like, pooped out a turd, right?
Yeah.
And then CD Projekt Red came along and polished it to the most magnificent shine. Like, it's everything that's wrong with an open world game, but done very well.
Yes.
And
It's great.
whereas Nintendo, they made some like mashed potatoes or something, and they showed the world that you can eat potatoes instead of poop, and like it's just potatoes. It's not chips. It's not fries, but it's it's like a whole new world of possibility.
I think one of the big things about The Witcher is the story.
Yeah,
And people like stories in video games.
yeah, and I think it is one of the few games that I actually like. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But they still don't like. I think the one that's kind of considered the top is the Bloody Baron quest, or the Red Baron, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And there are parts in that are just like tedious, typical RPG. Like the one I remember it was like you do a thing, you talk to the Baron, and then it's like go talk to this guy. So you walk. There's like nothing. You talk to a guy, then you walk back, talk to the Baron, and you do that a few times in different and it's all just. It's fetch quests under a different name, basically. And it's the worst part about fetch quests. Because fetch quests, I don't think, are actually bad. I think people are bad. Because what they do is they get the fetch quest, they fast travel to the point, they grab the item, and they fast travel back. But what you should do is you should be like, I've heard in the region of whatever there is a sword that I would greatly love to see. And so if you happen to be in the mountain range, you keep an eye out for the sword. That's the way to do a fetch quest. And that's why I like Skyrim quite a bit, even though a lot of people have a flaw with its system.
Yeah.
Because those little quests, I don't see them as like walk in straight line. I think of, okay, when you're in the area. But that said, in Breath of the Wild, they have quests that don't tell you where the objects are.
Yeah.
And I think that actually fixes the entire problem.
Because then you go searching for it like a madman.
Yeah.
And you stumble across something else.
And I think that's Baldur's Gate as well, actually, I think did this. Where they're like, find this. But, I will say against Baldur's Gate and in favor of modern game design. Although I'm not sure, I'm torn on this a little bit. Like your phone, how it has your 3 most used words, so you can like choose that word very quickly.
Yes.
So mine are I, how, and Baldur. Because I have looked up so many things in Baldur's Gate.
Where is this in Baldur's Gate? Where is this in Baldur's Gate? Where is this in Baldur's Gate? Well, if you walk to the far reaches of the northern wasteland and you enter the ladies' bathroom, you'll find a crack in the wall, a secret pathway which leads you to an extra dimension, which is a maze. Now, if you traverse the maze, avoiding all the traps, you will find a key which will open up the door in a different dimension to the object you're looking for. This is part 1 of an object that requires 3 pieces to be put together.
A large part of the problem isn't even finding it, it's understanding game mechanics that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make Jaheira happy? Like, there's so many...
You can't.
Because she wants you to do evil acts, but she condemns you for them. If you're a good player.
Yeah.
And if you're a bad player, she just condemns you twice over.
Yes.
So...
You can't. You get number 2.
You get the enhanced edition or whatever it's
enhanced
called.
Enhanced edition number 1, enhanced edition number 2, and it changes her alignment to not lawful good.
Neutral good.
Neutral good, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what her alignment actually is, even though it says it's true neutral.
But there's just a lot of little things in Baldur's Gate that it's like you don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Actually, this is a problem I have with Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, really?
It's not so much the alignment, it's just you remind me of a problem. And so they've done very much a thing which they did in Divinity, which is the start of Divinity. Like, know how the trailer and the loading things have like the amount of like the people you can have?
Yeah.
And like all those people are Godwoken or whatever. Like they're chosen to have a destiny. So in Baldur's Gate, basically all the characters you can play, I believe, are chosen of some sort or another.
Yeah.
They all experience the same star as you. And I think there's like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
I like one person.
Right.
Of these people that they've chosen. I think all the others are tolerable or annoying.
Okay.
And the thing about Baldur's Gate is there's a lot of people you can have join your party.
Like the original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the core people in Baldur's Gate, like of course you're going to get like Minsk and like all those things.
Yeah.
Like there's the core party, but you don't have to have them. You can choose. And I don't want the core parties from Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
And I don't think there'll be like maybe once they have the full release, you can find more people. But I don't think
they're just like uninteresting, or the characters themselves are annoying on a.
They're either uninteresting. Their classes I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
And they don't have all the classes released, so they might actually expand more once they have all the classes. But also, they're just, like, they're not fun to be around. It's like every single one of them's like Jahara.
Ooh.
Like, actually, like, they all, like, you have to walk on, like, ice talking to them, or, like, grumpy, or they're weird. Also, you can't get a full alignment party, so some of them have to be evil and some have to be good. This is, again, the pre-release, so there's probably a limited amount of them. But just all the art they show these people in it. And so it makes me worried that they're your only options for a party. And one of the things I really like about Baldur's Gate is the party and like their interactions with the world. And I don't like these people. And it actually kind of shows, like statistically, the guy I like is the most romanced character in the game by like miles. Like he's so far ahead of everyone else because he's actually likable. So I'm a little worried.
It is early access.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you had judged Divinity 2 by their early access, which was only Act 1, which is by far the worst part of the game.
Yeah, you can get your whole party, though, then.
Yeah.
As well.
And in Baldur's Gate games, you can change party members right up until the end, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, in this, you if you don't want someone with you, you can send them to your camp, and then they stick around your camp, and then you can grab them for later.
That's kind of cool.
That's a mechanic that existed in
Baldur's Gate
Dragon
2.
Age.
Oh, you can do that in Baldur's Gate 2 as well. Mm-hmm. You send them to the copper whatever in.
If you do it too many times you can start doing Baldur's Gate 1, but if you do it too many times, then they'll never come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do like the camp mechanic, but that takes from Dragon Age. And
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And Solasta Crown of the Magister. And I've noticed a few other games do this. Mm-hmm. It's very weird. They're RPGs.
Yeah.
And they're releasing in early access.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really make sense for an RPG.
Did you see Ryan Stiles' video?
No. Who's that?
Not Ryan Stiles. The guy who does the like he's the only person in his universe. He does the.
Oh, Ryan George?
Yeah, Ryan George.
No. Is it on Baldur's Gate?
No. Yes. It's about video games.
Right.
It's basically a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
And so he buys a jigsaw puzzle for himself.
It's like an early access jigsaw puzzle.
He's like, wait, half the color's missing. Like, what? There's pieces missing. Some pieces don't fit together. And this one's broken. This one's a triangle. It doesn't fit in. And it's like, the guy's like, yeah, I'll just finish those later. You know, I want your money now because I want money. And I'll give you this unfinished product and I'll fix it later.
So it's about cyberpunk?
Yes. Well, there was even this extra bit to it, which is, he's like the very end. It's like, all right, do you have anything else I can buy that's like not a quick Minecraft thing? Well, there's this one thing. It's this addition to the puzzle. It's like the original's not complete. He's trying to sell an addition to it.
So you know who I think, like a lot of Arc 2, they never finished Arc 1, like, and now they're doing Arc 2. The people that did The Forest did the same thing. Yeah. They never finished The Forest, and now they're making a sequel to The Forest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Forest isn't finished.
Yeah.
Huh.
And well, it's finished, but there's a lot of stuff they could have added or worked on, and they just moved on to the next one.
Yeah.
Like they implemented systems that they never fully realized, and then they moved on to the next one. It could be money related, although in Ark's case, I'm going to say no because they hired Vin Diesel for a trailer, so that's just a bit much. But you keep doing this, so I'll be preaching to everyone plus you, I guess.
Yeah.
But stop buying early access games.
I've only bought one early access game.
You bought Baldur's Gate.
Yep.
You bought Sorty McSorty number 2, Rogue Legacy 2.
I bought it on launch.
Yeah, it launched in early access.
Yeah.
You bought Cyberpunk 2020.
I bought it on full release.
And I had another one. Factorio.
I actually didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I bought it on his release, but he then moved it. I bought it when he said he'd released it, but then the guy actually released it.
Minecraft. You bought in beta.
Minecraft was a complete game.
Factorio as well.
I mean, I also play Dota 2.
Yeah.
And it's a beta. It actually is a beta.
I think most of these... Oh, Mountain Blade.
Okay, I am annoyed about Mountain Blade. I thought the game was finished.
All right,
and
so
they said it is finished.
I'm going to change it then. It's okay to buy games in early access. There are some games, like any of the NetHack games, any of the roguelike games, really.
Yeah.
Because roguelikes are so replayable, more is just better. You also, like Factorio, totally fine to buy in early access, because that is the most polished game you'll ever see.
Yeah.
So early access isn't the problem. On release is the problem these days.
Yes.
Because games release in beta now, apparently.
I actually think that Mountain Blade briefly. So we played Mountain Blade, and we played Bannerlord. So not Bannerlord.
Warband. Yeah.
Warband is a way better game than Mountain Blade.
Right.
I think that's going to happen to Mountain Blade too.
Right. But by the
not,
time it's a better game, it's going to be like half off.
Yeah, I know. I thought though, like they spent so long working on it, I thought it'd actually be a full game.
Well, people thought that about Cyberpunk too.
Cyberpunk is a full game.
Yeah, but it's
PC bastards.
It's still buggy.
Oh, can I talk about my favorite bug I'm experiencing right now constantly?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got this outfit, which is meant to be like this sort of tracksuit. And I look at the image of the tracksuit, and I look at what my character is wearing, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but like the top, they have it like zipped down and oddly flipped over.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's stylistic. And I was looking more, and it's like, wait a minute, and the back leg of the pants... Like, so if your legs are standing, the back legs of the pants are clipping all the way up to the thighs.
Oh.
So it looks like they're like wearing shorts. But they're actually meant to go down to ankles, but they're just like the side of my feet are like an extra foot distance back. And also I'm looking for better gear than it, but it's like the best piece of armor I've found. And like nothing's better than it. So like this glitched out piece of gear.
Now, based on The Witcher 3, which apparently had a fairly buggy launch as well.
Yes.
Cyberpunk will probably get better.
Yes.
And I don't think anyone faults CD Projekt Red for that exactly. The biggest issue is that they didn't tell anyone what they were doing.
They tried to have their cake and eat it too.
They tried to hide the fact that their console games were like a mess.
They tried to hide their cake and sell it to you too.
Yeah. They wanted to show. Yeah, they wanted to sell their cake without showing it.
Yeah. Well, no. So they made several different cakes, and they had several different plates that the cakes are on, right?
Right.
And the cake turned out to be massive and like drippy, and the PC is like the very big plate that like can catch all the dripping, whereas everything else like drips and falls apart all, or like they're tiny plates. Like you got a 2-foot diameter cake on a 1-foot diameter plate, and so you like put it down, and it just goes like blurp.
Yeah. The other thing they did was
Master of metaphor.
they rushed the release for December.
Yeah.
Which means that now they're all on holiday. So No Man's Sky did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If your game's a buggy mess, at least release it in early access in January so you can be seen fixing it immediately.
Yes.
Because now you have 2 weeks of everyone that they can't play their game anyways. Like, you get the money, but you lose a lot in terms of customer trust.
Well, maybe they'll have like that guy from Lord of the Rings, the 3D animator for the tower.
Oh, who just did it over the holidays?
Yeah, his Christmas holiday, he made a tower explode with...
So someone's going to fix all 9 versions of Cyberpunk 2077 over the holiday.
That tower explosion is really interesting if you think about it. Because I was watching a video about like 3D modelers and effects guys, and it's very interesting what he's saying about it. It's like, so if you look at it now compared to explosion effects we can do, it's like, okay, it's middle of the road. But if you think about what the technology he's working with, he actually wasn't using a simulator to destroy the tower. He broke it into every single piece.
Oh, and then he moved all the pieces.
And then he moved them.
Wow.
And he did the collapse effects and all that. So it's like now considered one of the most in-depth animation ever done. Now we can do animations like that really easily.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk a bit about that, actually. So,
well, like when I was the guy who was going to hire me until everything happened, he's showing me one of his favorite things to do with 3D animation is to make a shape, then use an effect which shatters them, and then put an emitter into the center of them.
A what?
Pardon? An emitter?
An emitter.
Yeah, so something that causes stuff to happen. And make them like explode or fall over or crumble.
So, I have this theory, which I'm fairly confident in backing, hypothesis rather.
Yeah.
So here's my thesis statement.
Yeah.
Microsoft Flight Simulator
Yeah.
is going to be the most demanding video game ever.
Okay.
Like it's already out. But I don't think there's ever going to be a game that is more demanding than it.
Yeah.
And I think also whatever the biggest game right now is,
Yeah.
maybe Cyberpunk 2077?
It's pretty big.
Like in terms of how much data it uses up on your computer.
Yeah.
So let's say it is Cyberpunk. I think that will be the biggest game ever.
I think Cyberpunk's only like 80 or 70, and there's some games that are like 100. And
Okay, if it, maybe it's like NBA,
I
whatever.
think it's actually already started to happen with Cyberpunk, what we're talking about.
But I think, Cyberpunk or whatever the current biggest game is, I think is going to be the biggest game ever.
Yeah.
And this is because, there was some 2-minute papers videos I watched recently.
Yeah.
And just in general. I don't know if you saw these ones. One was on fluid simulation, and another one was on soft body physics.
No, I haven't seen either.
So, start with the fluid one.
Yeah.
So, this is a fluid simulation of like, for viscous fluid simulations. So, honey, Play-Doh, that sort of thing. A new system was just released.
So this is fairly recent?
Yeah.
So it's being improved again.
Which is 4 times faster than the previous method. And it gives the exact same results. Now this thing has already been added to an animation software.
Yeah.
And so I don't know much about animation software, but I saw people in the comments going like, please be Blender, please be Blender, please be Blender. Oh, it's Houdini. And they were disappointed. I don't know what that means, but I imagine Houdini is paid for or something.
Houdini's probably paid for. Blender is the almost the most advanced animation software.
Right.
And it's completely free.
Right.
And the owner of it's insane. So
they don't add it or what?
No, the owner's insane as in Blender's completely free. That's why he's insane.
Right.
Because Blender is powerful enough and has enough advancements and things added to it that it could like almost be a competitor with like Maya and Houdini and those other things.
Right.
But like I listened to an interview with the guy and he's hard to listen to. But anyways, he's like, I'll never make this thing cost anything. And it's only based on donations. And basically people donate a lot of money to it. Like big studios are now donating to it to get that.
Well, from what I've heard of Maya, like you can afford to donate a whole lot to.
Yes.
Like, well, you saved me $500 per employee, so per year.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yes. No. Maya and all the other ones, they're subscription.
So here's your.
So the two models of actually 3D animation software. Okay, there's 3 models. One is you subscribe to them. And when they update, you can basically update your subscription. The other is you get a version, and that's the version you get.
And it gets outdated instantly.
You have to buy a new one. They have a new version every 4 months.
Right.
Blender has big updates and small updates, but it's always free.
Right.
And there's you buy it and then they'll continually update it.
Well, so hopefully they add this improvement soon then. I think it had... Now, when I say 100%, it was like basically undetectable by person.
Yeah.
But an experienced person, I don't know, maybe it was only like 95% or something. But 4 times the speed, I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Just touch it up in post.
It looks good and it's 4 times the speed.
Yeah.
Is this new math or like an AI?
I don't know.
Because I was reading something interesting about new math versus AI, which is it's very hard for AIs to you have to make a very special AI to figure out new math, but they can figure out their own system to do something, or they can use yours and do it way faster than you. But new math, if you do that, then you can make AIs even faster because then they just have to run the processes with your new math.
Right. Yeah, well, there was that
new math is like really important.
that sand thing or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that student invented like a much faster mathematical formula,
yeah.
which is better and faster.
Yes.
Like it was
Like-
just amazing.
3D animation used to purely improve just by new math and stronger computers. So
Yeah. So what was the other thing? Okay, so there's also jiggle physics, soft
Yes.
body physics. So, actually before that, I want to put out a request to Epic, the company.
yeah.
So I noticed recently they put out a bunch of videos on an update to Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah.
Could you just shut down Unreal Engine 4? Like, just get rid of it entirely. And only let people use Unreal Engine 5. Because that demo at the start of this year on Unreal
Yeah.
Engine 5 was so cool. I don't want anyone to have the option to make games in number 4 anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they just updated the water physics in number 4 and made it, like, really easy to add dynamic rivers and stuff to your game. But, like, who cares? Just switch number 5. That looked so cool. And with that update, like, games can be, like, a tenth the size just because you don't need to store all the light modeling,
Yeah.
which is
You
amazing.
don't need to bake stuff.
Yeah, but you still need to do all the animations. So, soft body physics thing. So, normal soft body physics. What you do is you rig a bone,
Yeah.
and then you tell it to, like, pull and deform, and
Yes.
and you have to set it up to look right and respond to the right situation. So basically, you can get like
Horrible stretching.
you can get like 2 axes basically, or whatever, because you can't account for every situation.
Yeah.
Especially if like you got like poked or
And
something.
wrists are a nightmare.
Oh.
No, honestly, because of wrists, right? So you get your texture for a wrist, and you can have the wrist go forward and like up, back, and it will like stretch your texture a little bit. But like if you know what you're doing, you can make a texture that will work with that. Then you can rotate the wrist. Then you can get a texture that will work with the rotate, but it can look a little weird. But then it can't do both of those at the same time.
Oh.
So if you make a texture for rotating, it won't work with the bending. And then if you bend and rotate at the same time, you just get this twisted texture. And so there's like a bunch of textures that are specially made for wrists. And also there's like a bunch of advanced bone structures just done for hands and wrists, because those things are like nightmares to animate.
So this one. So, and before you do any animation, you need to rig up a skeleton.
Yeah.
And be so what they did, they showed an example of like a T-Rex.
Yeah.
And so you rig up its legs, you rig up its head. It's got this great big belly on it.
Yeah.
And you make it run along.
Yeah.
And it didn't like bounce at all because
Yeah.
they put all their work into just making it move and have like the
Yeah.
joints move and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, if you want to bounce at all places without bones, you actually have to put a bone there and then apply like physics stuff to them.
So this new method
Yeah.
doesn't require rigging. It doesn't require a skeleton.
Yeah.
And it can make things bounce. They can also differentiate. So they showed an example of a snake pulling a cart.
Yeah.
They're like, this cart is solid, the snake is stretchy. So you don't have to be concerned about like, oh, everything's jiggly. Like in the T-Rex, I didn't actually notice, but apparently if you look at the T-Rex and look at its teeth, they're jiggling in the example because they just made the whole thing jiggly.
Yeah.
And so, ugh.
Tackle the goo monsters.
But its belly's just like rippling and bouncing as it runs
yeah,
along.
you'd have to like individually animate that or try to figure out some crazy setup.
So yeah, this new technique, you just go. It's just like, bam, here's the model, go for it. You don't have to rig it. Now here's the thing. What's the cost of that, right? Like, how long does it take to animate this thing? Set it.
Yeah.
Real time.
How long?
It can do it in real time.
Okay. Oh, really? It does that in real time?
You just tell it move and it starts jiggling.
Wow.
So, like,
It's kind of funny because I feel like with these things, right, these systems, like there's almost like, this is going to sound very artsy.
right.
But there's a loss because like an amazing animator, like they put like their time work and they like make it so like that T-Rex original, like its belly moves and they can choose how it moves and they can like figure out like, oh, there's that rock there. Okay, I'm going to account for that. It's going to like ripple like this and I'm going to do all these things. But now you have this system and it'll go through all that. It's like, oh, well, if it steps on the rock, it's going to get weird. But no, it steps on the rock, it'll do the same thing. And it's like, you look at the two, it's like, oh yeah, that guy made some mistakes there. Was this thing? It knows what it's doing with physics.
I think there is like a certain loss of, and in a lot of cases you have things where, like you look at an automatic car,
Yeah.
you have less control than a standard car.
Yeah.
But I think in the case of the technology for animation, it's more of a case of a manual car becoming an electric car, which is just better in every way. Now, electric cars aren't actually there yet because they don't have the range. They're very heavy. But they do control better than a manual, normal transmission type car. And because they can actually take signals faster. So they can stop spinning the moment they touch ice and then start spinning the moment they touch ground.
Here's something I didn't know about electric cars. So you know how like the Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Can like accelerate to 60 in like 2 seconds or something?
Yeah.
And like the new one they're making is meant to go like 60 in 0.9 seconds. So they could go faster, but there's a limit on them. And that's their tires. Electric cars are limited by their tires. There's actually not enough friction on their tires for them to use the full torque of their engines.
Wow.
And that's electric cars we have right now. So a limiting factor on electric cars is just how much grip they have.
So I think in like the case of that's pretty amazing actually. And that shows like electric cars, they're just better.
Yeah.
And so I think in the case of something like that formula for the sand physics or whatever it was, the particle physics, that was something that was better in every dimension and faster.
Yeah.
So I think the art has almost been improved there. But I think you always lose something. Like you could say the new XCOM games, they really streamlined the XCOM experience to only what mattered. You don't have to fiddle with micromanaging. But when you remove the ability to throw items and you remove exhaustion, like exhaustion doesn't come up that often. Throwing items doesn't come up that often. But when it does,
it's very...
you get stories.
Yeah.
And you lose those stories when you streamline. And so I think... Yeah, there is something to
well, even
the artist has less room to tweak around in there.
The artist for the Lord of the Rings, what's his name? John Howe. He doesn't use a computer.
Yeah.
He still draws everything out by hand, and he then paints them and draws them. And I mean, maybe he probably wouldn't be as good with a computer.
Yeah.
But part of like, I know when I'm doing like computer art, I use undo a lot.
Yeah.
And like I use a bunch of tools. And sort of solve like basically like some mistakes I made.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can get rid of that mistake. But then sometimes you go too far forward and then you see a mistake. It's like, oh, I can't get rid of it. And then it becomes a part of it. Whereas a system where it's like, all right, go back this many steps and remove that thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, I'll remove that, leave everything else you've done. It's like, oh, that's nice. And that's basically what you can do with layers. And I've like learned layers and stuff. But it's just like sometimes you have the mistakes left in, then you make it work with the mistake. And there's like that whole art style of like draw, and if your mistakes there,
happy little accidents.
Yeah.
I think
that's almost like digital art almost looks too clean. Like a lot of art looks too clean that's digital.
Like I
have a friend who has this crazy insane style she does, and her art like it's done with a computer, but it doesn't look clean, and it's like super unique.
You can use a program like ArtRage, which simulates paint physics and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you always have the undo option, which kind of you haven't lost the ability to. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I think in the case of like the jiggling T-Rex, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you compare 2D animation versus 3D animation.
Yeah.
Because even if the Dragon Prince, let's say, could look as good as 2D animation with their 3D animation, they're still losing the, I would call it like dynamism or something, the dynamic art of Avatar.
Yeah.
Because in Avatar, the characters' faces can stretch and deform, whereas the 3D models are always going to be rigid. They're constrained by reality. So, but I think artists know this, and you still see a lot of 2D animation done.
Yeah.
So I think that if there was ever something lost from using this new jiggle system, and you really want your T-Rex,
you can go back.
You can always use the older system, but what you can do is you can be like, all right, Jigglebot, make this T-Rex jiggle.
Yeah.
And then you can be like, all right, wise master of the jiggling T-Rex. Mm-hmm. We only need you to work on the eyebrow ridges or something. Mm-hmm. You don't have to waste your time fixing everything else, because everything else works.
Yeah, but then he looks and it's like, oh, there's something there I want to change up a little bit.
But we want you to add personality to this. So I think you could do the same with the 3D animation.
Yeah.
You could someday when there's an automatic rotoscoping program.
Yeah.
Just bam, and then what you do is you look at it and you're like, all right, movie's done. But now let's go through it, and any scene where we want it to look a little bit more dynamic, we're going to redraw it. Just stretch this a bit, do this a bit. Mm-hmm. And so I think more is better.
Yeah.
Basically, it seems like there might be a loss. Automatic cars, right?
Yeah.
That's a loss because you don't have the option to go back.
Yeah.
But I think Jeep made a vehicle that it was an automatic car that you could manually switch gears if you wanted.
There's an electric car. It's a custom electric car that is manual.
That seems pointless because electric cars don't have gears.
It adds in gears basically with a program.
I wonder what that would achieve.
Don't know.
But yeah, because they just have a cylinder that
you actually don't need gear shifting with an electric car.
Yeah. Well, they don't have gears.
Yeah.
You just
it just handles what you need.
Right, but so gears, you engage them and disengage them. Whereas electric cars, they have a single circuit that they, I believe, stretch. But it's 2015 was the last time I looked into electric cars interior stuff. So stretching is not the right term, but it's I don't even know. It's been too long. But yeah, they can't use gears basically because it's a different system altogether.
Yes. Automatic's like someone taking over for you.
Yeah.
In a process that's done in a car, whereas electric cars don't even have that process. They just spin.
So I think that if you're combing your hair with a fine tooth comb, you can get the best hair thing, but it takes forever, right?
Yeah.
Someone comes along and they invent a coarse comb.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you only use the coarse comb. Yeah. That means now you don't have to waste time on the big areas. Yeah. And then you can go where it matters with the fine-tooth comb.
I love the metaphors in this podcast.
It's a very metaphorical podcast.
We have cakes and combs.
I had one at the beginning as well, about polishing...
turd.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a common one, is polishing turd.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to use it because it was what they were doing. So I want to talk about another game. Unless you got more on the loss there for a moment, or
I actually is slightly related, and this is one of the few not insane things that I wrote down last time, or I don't know if it's not related to them.
Yeah.
So, you've seen The Simpsons, right?
Yes.
And how much of it have you watched?
I've watched season 3.
Okay. And
I think maybe 4.
Okay, yeah, and you've seen clips of it, though, right?
Yeah.
Later seasons, older ones. You've seen Futurama, not so much, but you've watched some Futurama.
Yeah.
And you've seen Family Guy.
I was going to talk about this. They're jerks in all of them, but The Simpsons.
No, it's not that.
Okay.
But you've seen Family Guy, right?
Yeah.
And it sort of the progression, seeing early stuff, seeing older stuff of it too, clips.
A Family Guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this weird thing, and this actually happens a bit with Pokemon. Not so much, though. But, so it's most noticeable in Simpsons. So Bart, Lisa, Homer, Marge, Maggie all look incredibly distinct. Right? And they don't look human.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Apu, Barney, Moe, what's his name? The neighbor? Flanders?
Yeah.
All look incredibly distinct.
Okay.
So, whenever they add in a new character, they look human.
Okay.
They look like a human in that style. And they look better than everyone else. They look far more attractive in a way to us because they look more like us. They're not stylized like the characters because the artists have developed their technique and can draw people better than the original ones. Originally, their look was a choice, but it was also, okay, we sort of know how to draw, but we're going to draw these, hey, we'll make this crazy fat guy with this mouth like this, and this kid will have this crazy hairdo. But now they draw stuff okay, we need a new character, and it's all right, hair like a person, face like a person, body like a person. And the style is different, and they make the Simpsons look like they don't belong, or those characters don't belong in that world, because there's enough characters in the Simpsons that look wacky and unreal. But you have someone new in, and it's you don't look right. And this style sort of happens with the advance of technique. And so Pokemon has this as well, and a bit of a different, like Pokemon something is, so they had their basic style and they basically kept moving with that style. They upgraded from, of course, the graphics, but like the way, their original design, the way they draw them, this is Charmander, this is how he looks. Charmander has an extremely simple design. So new Pokemon, they try to keep that simple design. Like sometimes they branch out, but they try to keep that simple design. However, there's only so many creatures you can actually do in that simple design before you either start getting repeats or make things that aren't very good looking. And so with Pokemon, they could update the old ones or go, okay, the old ones are going to look the way they look, and now we're going to make new styles for the newer Pokemon that actually look good. But that's Pokemon, sort of related. But with like The Simpsons and stuff, it's like, you're not going to change the way Homer looks. That's Homer. But when they add these new characters, I almost wish they would make them look like the other characters. It's like this, not this degradation, but it's like the art techniques have improved and their basic drawing, like their old basic drawing be like, okay, that thing looks a little bit like Lisa. Like it's kind of a creep, like the twins, like they look weird. And it's just sounding like, all right, let's make these characters. But now if they were like, if the twins were never exist and they wanted to introduce them in, they would look more human.
I think my biggest problem with The Simpsons is like Marge has hair, Flanders has hair, Lisa has hair, but Bart is bald with like a spiky skull. Like, like I don't know why they chose to do it the way they did, but it's kind of weird. He's got like a weird. It's like the top half of his skull was fractured, and there's just like jagged spikes left.
If you think about this way, right? So Bart, let's say that Bart has just like really spiky hair.
Yeah.
And Lisa has really spiky hair.
Yeah.
Now, their hair is their skin color.
Yeah.
So if they were human,
yeah,
their hair would look like weird.
Yeah. I could, like, if someone had really dark skin.
Yeah.
And lightish black hair, maybe it would work. But yeah, for most.
But it's just this a weird thing I noticed with art styles.
For most hair colors or skin colors, it would be a bit weird.
It actually appears also in different things. And there's this weird thing. So that thing I showed you earlier with Ruby, right?
Yeah.
So they actually did a really good job of this. So the original characters all have these very creative designs. And as the series progressed, they actually update them because their equipment gets better, their skill gets better, and they age. So they give them new looks. But they also introduce new characters. And the new characters have like crazier abilities and crazier outfits. And it's sort of thing like, especially in a series like that or anime, like you take anime or you take like even superheroes. When you introduce someone new, you have two options, almost. It's make them like an old character, and they can be slightly different. But if you do that too many times, you'll run out of space, basically. Or you can make something creative that'll catch people's attention. However, there's then problem, which if you make them creative and catch people's attention, they'll start outshining the other character's design. And so it's like, oh, I have Superman. Okay, Superman. Invincible, super strong, can fly. They add in breathing ice and laser eyes later. But so he has like 5 powers, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's Superman. He's kind of interesting. And then you get like some new superhero who's like, they use internet gas to like interface with the world.
Actually, I'm having that problem in game design. Mm-hmm. So I'm making this JRPG, right?
Yeah.
And by accident, but I'm making a JRPG. And the first creature I made in the game, the first tier 3, which is the strongest type of creature, it had the ability to regenerate, and its morale went up when its fellows died.
Yeah.
So it's like, you died, or I don't know why. But its morale goes up when its fellows die.
Yeah.
But it's also a coward, so you need its fellows to die. But because it regenerates, it never dies. So it's kind of weird. The second one I made has no special powers, but has really good stats.
Yeah.
The third one I made has really low health, really low initiative, really low morale.
Yeah.
Very high attack. It gains 1 morale per turn. If it kills a creature with equal or greater health in it, it gains 1 health. It cannot attack in the first turn. If it's attacked, it engages with that enemy. And if it runs away and comes back, it gains back a creature of its own that ran with it. It has got like a paragraph of abilities.
Yeah.
It's because as I started understanding my game better and my system better, I'm like, oh, I can do all these things.
So,
and now the original creature, like, he looks really boring.
So there's a thing you can do with that, which is basically the way to fix the problem I'm talking about.
You could update the old ones.
You can, well, this is a part of it.
Or you can hamstring the new ones.
Well, those are not entirely solutions.
Yeah.
You can update the old one, which is better than hamstringing.
Yeah.
But so basically, when you start, like you're working, so you don't understand your system, so you have to like figure it out. And like the same thing with the Ruby series.
Yeah.
Like they reveal more about the lore, and so they can actually expand their characters and ideas. But what you have to do is either have the willingness basically to update, which they do, and that's why like you can update that thing so it's better.
Yeah.
But also, you can basically decide. This is what Pokemon did.
Yeah.
So Pokemon's rules of creation is 2 features. So Charmander is a lizard with fire. Bulbasaur is a dinosaur with a plant bulb.
Yeah.
Ghastly is a ghost.
Yeah.
So he's actually simpler. Onyx is a snake made out of stone. So they have these limiting features. And I think like I was listening to a guy's rule on design for them.
Yeah.
And he says like their like maximum rule is 4.
Right.
4 features. They have a few exceptions where a creature has like maybe like 5 to 10.
Yeah.
And those creatures are usually very unpopular, or in a few rare cases they're super popular.
Right.
But usually they just have 2 features, and those are like the best ones. They've kind of run out of stuff to do. That's the rules they say.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
A sponge made of fire.
Okay, so you can do. I mean, they have it mentally.
Right.
Well,
you know what they do now? You know how it used to be all natural and now it's
Yeah.
all like stuff you see in your day-to-day life?
Yeah.
I think I know why, right? They're like, headphones made out of water. Yes, because there's headphones over there. And a pen. Yes, okay, we've got a pen made of paper?
Yeah, okay, but
Paper pen? Paper.
so they set their rules though, right?
Yeah.
So they have those rules. So with your thing, like Heroes of My Magic actually has like creatures have I think at most 3 abilities.
Yeah.
Like
Magma Elemental might have the most.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, probably 4.
Yeah, so like they might not have done this, but they sort of like subconsciously done this, where they sort of decide at some point the most abilities we're going to give something is 4.
Yeah.
So you can basically, when you start with like your game, you can go, the most I'm going to allow any creature to have is 5 abilities.
But what if it'd be really cool if they had like 10?
Well, you're going to try to stick to that as best you can, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I'm saying like, so you set your rules up and then you're like, but I don't want anything to be like suck.
Yeah.
So the minimum abilities they're going to have is 2. And then I'm going to have a unique creature, which has 1 ability, like a few uniques that have 1, and one super unique, which has no abilities, but has the best stats in the game.
Yeah.
For like its level or like compared to.
Which I have.
Yeah.
It's like
So-
actually overpowered.
Yeah, so, but basically you set a range limit, and then you try and keep in that range limit. So that is one way to start design. So with like Ruby, they could have almost designed that, and I don't think they did. I think they did, I think like they're just updating and keeping it going, which is another way. But that's something that can actively change. So the other way to do it is a different way of saying range, where you go, all right, this is the middle creature. It has 4 abilities.
If I add one with 3, I have to add one with 5?
No, so this is a middle creature. It has 4 abilities. This is where I'm going to start. Okay, here's a creature with no abilities. It's all the way on the left here.
Yeah.
Here's the creature with 10 abilities. It's all the way on the right.
Yeah.
So, I make the game. I have 100 creatures.
Yeah.
They all fall within that.
Right.
And so they'd be made within that. When I make a new game, when I add the expansion to this game,
Yeah.
or like, yeah, we'll go with expansion.
Yeah.
Everything has to fit in between everything else.
Right.
And I might allow myself to go a little bit outside, but I have to be within this range. So you start your original characters for a book series, right? You want to have like wacky powers, and the 4 main characters have like each unique power.
Yeah.
You have to make that range for them. This is as far as it can go, basically on both sides. They'll fall within it. Everything will be within this range. If I start making too many people outside of it, then there's no point anymore, and my original characters fall by the wayside.
I wonder, this is interesting.
And it happens. This happens where people start making them outside.
You know, I say this a lot when we we have to talk about games with us at some point, because I think that most people that are role playing just want to play a game with us, and they don't know it, and they don't actually see. When I role play, I want to play a rule system, but I think a lot of people just want to play a game with us, and they don't know how.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just gonna, one of these times we're just gonna play a game with us, like, very quickly and show how it's done, because it's very easy, and yeah,
it's the simplest role play system in the world,
and it's very effective.
Yeah.
But that'll be another time. But oh dear. Right. When we were playing games with us a lot as kids,
Yeah.
there would be things where we say you have to earn this, like, and also when you read a series, you're like, Harry Dresden has this really epic moment, he earned it.
Yeah.
But you say, like, Denethor in Way of Kings has this really epic moment, I feel like he didn't earn it. Or you have something... Dalinar, sure.
Denethor is the steward of Gondor.
Right. He had a guest appearance. Or you have, like, Rey from Star Wars. And I think you should talk to, like, the Star Wars people, because she has this really amazing moment. And it feels like, whatever. And what's his name? Palpatine has this really amazing moment where he, like, summons, like, an army, basically. Yeah. You're like, it doesn't feel earned. So I have long had this thing I've said where it doesn't feel earned.
Yeah.
And just now you've given me, like, a context of, like, maybe that is the feeling of feeling earned. It's, here's the expectations of the series.
Yeah.
If you fall outside of it, it's not earned.
Yeah.
Now, if you are just a tiny bit outside it, you can be like, okay, this is like, it's hard to do as a non-spoiler example, because anything that does this well is a spoiler typically. So I will use the latest Smash reveal as my best example, okay?
Yeah.
I can think of. Sephiroth.
Yes.
He is I don't know much about Final Fantasy, actually.
Yeah.
But apparently he's stronger than, like, basically everyone.
Yeah.
And so they have him kill the bad guy of the game, like, in a single swipe of his sword. Yeah. And you're like, what is this guy?
Yeah.
But they don't have it, like, he doesn't do it, like, he doesn't exhale and he dies. And also the characters in Smash Bros. Are able to fight him they're able to go, like, a round or two with him. Yeah. And Cloud is actually able to, like, at least force him to land. He doesn't actually seem to hurt him.
Yeah.
And so if you push them just a tiny bit outside of it, you can be like, what is this?
Yeah.
What this thing is and you're like, okay, that's earned. But I think, like, in the Dresden Files and Peace Talks, I won't say what happened.
Yeah.
But if Peace Talks and Battleground was one book, this would be fine. But because Peace Talks was on its own.
Yeah.
At the end of Peace Talks, I was like, I just checked out. I was like, I'm kind of done. I'm not in the store anymore.
Yeah, you didn't care. There was no investment in it. It broke what you understood to be rules so fundamentally.
Yeah, it's
that
like,
it didn't matter.
It's like, this thing is like 3 tiers out of the acceptable bounds. Yeah. It doesn't feel earned. Battlegrounds fixes that.
Yes.
And the way they do it is actually, you're supposed to feel that way. You're like, oh, this was a deception sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like, in Peace Talks, you kind of think, okay, this is a deception. Yeah. But because there was no follow-up book, you're like, is this a deception, or has Jim Butcher lost it?
Has he got off the rocker?
Like, is he not as good a writer anymore? Is he washed or something?
Yeah.
Like, you had to lean on your trust of him. Yeah. And I didn't have any trust in him because
he hasn't written a book in a very long time.
And, like, you always get let down with these sort of things. Like,
yeah.
Like, I thought Infinity War was amazing, and then Endgame, it was like, I was kind of let down. Now, Jim Butcher
Well, even actually, like, Endgame, okay? So, I don't know, like, I didn't watch Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But I saw clips from it, and I saw what she could do, and she was way more powerful than everyone else. Superman sort of had that. Yeah. Although, like, he's fought enemies that, like, challenge him. Anyways, we have Endgame, and she shows up and takes out his spaceship, which is defeating everyone on the battlefield. Yeah. Good guys, bad guys alike, they're all getting defeated.
It's the most dangerous thing on the battlefield by far.
That moment was within acceptable bounds. It was like, he's willing to kill everyone to get what he wants.
You're like, whoa, this is...
Okay, so she shows up and takes out his ship. From my perception, when he's calling on this ship to fire, and the guy's like, are you sure, sir? And he says, do it. And like, they're trying to create shields and it's still taking everyone out. This is like all of them working together got close to beating Thanos. This ship is greater than him. There's a reason why he calls for it to fire down. Yeah. So she shows up and destroys his ship. So immediately it's like, okay, she's never fought anything that's challenged her. So this ship or Thanos can maybe challenge her? Oh, no, she destroys the ship. Okay, so that's her rescue. That's her moment coming in. Maybe Thanos has some way to beat her. He does. He outthinks her.
Yeah.
But when he headbutts her and she doesn't react, it's like, no. Thor and Iron Man, Hulk, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, like all these people all tried working together. Captain America, like all these different people all tried. And they failed to hurt him. Like there's this line where it's like, you made me bleed. You'll like be remembered, Tony. Like no one's like made me feel like this way. And he can't even touch her.
So actually, this is interesting with her scene, right? So first of all, if she had blown up the ship, like it'd been like fire's raining down, right? Yeah. And then Tony Stark gets a message from Captain America, like Captain Marvel's here, and it's like, and you see like Tony Stark's face light up, like we're saved, sort of thing. Yeah. Then you would be like slightly invested in the moment. You're like, something big's gonna happen, and then she comes, and you see her, and she's like, ah! And she like, you see her do that Super Saiyan thing where she gets that like Spartan helmet sort of thing, and she smacks the battleship. Yeah. And it like groans. It's like, and then it blows up. Yeah. And then she like lands exhausted or something. Yeah. You'd be like, yeah, she's here. Captain Marvel's here to save the day, sort of thing. Yeah. Or even, I think you could even have her like struggle and then come down and not be that tired, and it would still be kind of like, yeah, wow, okay, Thanos isn't better look out now. And then like, what they should have done when her and Thanos fought is made it more like a martial arts duel where they are equally matched, let's say. Yeah. So Thanos headbutts her. He had if they were both mortal, he had the superior move. He used a hard part of his body against a soft part of hers. Yeah. She should take that as a hit. Yeah. So like so then you're like, okay, these people are fighting as equals and it's cool. Yeah. Like she kicks at his head, he dodges, he punches, she dodges, she punches him in the stomach, he's like, oh, and he hits her and she goes down, something like that. You're like, okay, she's crazy tough, but this is Thanos. Yeah. You're like, okay, she is the strongest Avenger, she's the strongest superhero. Yeah. And I think that would have been a lot better. Like, I think something...
Well, the satisfaction from that scene really comes from Thanos popping the power gem into his fist and punching her.
I'm pretty sure when we watched it together, right, Endgame? Now, am I remembering wrong? But I seem to remember people kind of going like, yeah!
A lot of people like that.
Like, you're cheering for Thanos.
Yeah, because
she's just like this smug...
She ruined the scene. She ruined this whole battle. She ruined the investment. She ruined the danger of it. She ruined the epic get-together of everyone because she stopped something that was killing everyone without effort, and then she's fighting Thanos without effort. It's like...
It doesn't feel earned.
It's like, okay, right, so you're playing hockey, let's say, floor hockey, and you're like going about, and then some hockey star shows up and starts playing floor hockey with you. Yeah. And he's just beating everyone. And the game becomes uninteresting. Someone gets past him and scores a goal. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, we actually...
You know what Thanos punching her was? That was the same moment from the previous movie where Captain America made him bleed. Yeah. Like, that's the moment of, like, you're a hero. Like you can stop the unstoppable. It's like, like, Captain Marvel in that moment is the villain. Because the villain is the unstoppable one that the hero fights on despite the unstoppableness.
Yeah, and overcomes them.
Like, even if they don't beat them, it's like, the fact that they were able to shake them. It's like, you did it. And so we're cheering for Thanos because he's the underdog.
Yeah, he managed to overcome Captain Marvel. And
which is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, Thanos was one of those things that I talked about, actually. That's a great example, actually. At the start of Infinity War, he is that moment where you're like, okay, here's the acceptable bounds. Yeah. And then you see him, like, choking out Thor, and you're like, okay, this guy's big. But then it's like, oh, Hulk's here, okay. And then he, like, backhands Hulk, and that's it. And you're like, what is this guy?
It's like, let him have his fun, and he beats up Hulk.
You're like, what is this guy? And he pushes it very far. But on the other hand, it's set up in a way that you're like, it's Thanos versus the universe. Yeah. So for it to be a fair fight, he kind of does have to be. And so he is within that acceptable bounds because the rules are that the like Thanos is the scariest thing in the world, and if everyone has to work together to fight him, then he's still within the bounds. Whereas Captain Marvel, it's like, could every other Avenger do anything against her? Like, apparently not, and it wouldn't even be interesting to watch. I think someone that did it really well was weirdly is in Justice League. A huge amount of that movie is dedicated to resurrecting Superman.
Yeah.
And so when Superman finally comes back, this isn't like you know, let's say you're reading Arthurian legend.
Yeah.
And you're like, Percival got the Holy Grail, and then like it takes him off into heaven.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, the Holy Grail's overpowered.
Yeah.
You're like, no, that's not how you feel. You're like, this is the whole build-up is to the Holy Grail. It better be an awesome reward.
Yeah.
So in Justice League, the whole build-up is to getting Superman.
Yeah.
And your reward is watching him beat up Steppenwolf and his armies and like solve every problem. And like
they were
he's faster than Flash. He's stronger than Aquaman. He's like a better fighter than Wonder Woman. He's got it all.
The plot of Endgame, like they had the whole time travel thing, but okay, just for a second, let's make Captain Marvel work better.
Yeah.
The plot wasn't that okay, Thanos, like Act 1's done, right?
Yeah.
And these armies are here. They're getting destroyed. They retreat.
Yeah.
Because he calls that ship down on them. Like, he already did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And, like, things have happened. Bad stuff has happened. Even though they, like, tried to bring everyone back. Thanos attacking hurts.
Yeah.
And they're like, the only person that can stop him is Captain Marvel. We have to get her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, they're trying to get Captain Marvel. She might be able to stop me. So he attacks them and makes sure that, like...
Yeah.
Thor getting his axe...
Yeah.
That, like, the forging of that weapon, like, he has to go through this ridiculous trial to get. And then he almost beats Thanos with it.
Yeah.
Before he's shown Thanos beat him. He didn't have his hammer, and Thanos beat him. So he gets the axe, and now he's good enough to beat Thanos. So they could almost, like...
Yeah, make it like...
Captain Marvel's getting the axe.
We have to find Captain Marvel. We have to...
Yeah.
Yeah. If that... You know, if that had been... Get rid of time travel altogether, and be like 5 years later, it's like, what do we do? We need Captain... Like, I don't know. Like, there was nothing to save, though. That was...
Yeah.
And I don't know if they did it right. Like, where they kill Thanos and, like, they just feel empty.
Yeah.
Like, yes, on the one hand, because, like, it was too late.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that's just so bleak.
Yeah.
And the thing was, they couldn't even own it.
They had to use time travel to...
I actually thought...
fix it.
Justice League Dark Apocalypse, they also kind of cowarded their way out of there.
Justice League Dark Apocalypse is a worse ending than heck. The Earth is going to die. It's had half its molten core drained.
Yeah.
The magnetic field's gone. It's going to get destroyed by the solar wind.
But, I don't know. That one was a little weird. Like, on the other hand, I don't think DC... This is going to sound weird, talking about DC.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever taken themselves so seriously that a bit of comic book magic can't solve the problem.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Marvel is kind of the less serious one.
Yeah.
But I think Marvel tries to hit home harder in some ways.
Yeah.
Like DC will have like grittier.
Yeah.
But Marvel actually tries to hit closer to home, I think.
Yeah.
And so when Marvel has the time travel, I don't know. I don't think like I did after watching Infinity War, I was like, this second movie's impossible.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see how they do it. And it turns out it was impossible.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame. Because what they could have done is just stuck to their guns. 5 years later, here's how we rebuild society, and people will recover. The universe will recover, and nobody wants to watch that.
Hey, remember those movies we were going to have? Psych! Those characters are dead. No more Spider-Man.
Like, yeah, but like, they could have done something. I don't know what they could have done. Like they kind of
had their cake and they want to eat it too.
Yeah, that's what time travel tends to do. They like, or those stories where it's like they wake up and it's a dream. So I'm actually going to say that Justice League was a better movie than Endgame, which is kind of crazy, but like scene for scene, actually even scene for scene, because like the fight against Superman, one of my favorite things in movies. I love that scene so much. But like Steppenwolf looks hideous. The CGI isn't there.
Everything's orange. Apparently, I haven't seen it, but they've got like weird lighting.
Yeah, there's some weird lighting. I don't like Flash's character. Everyone has to be the jokey character. Aquaman's like the jokey guy, but Flash is the jokey guy.
Batman has to become jokey.
It's all a little weird. But the core message of get Superman saves the day is so much more exciting than because Superman is the prize.
Yeah.
It's so much more exciting than Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
Like they built Superman, but Captain Marvel just appeared.
Yeah. You have to...
And she was so much more powerful than anything we've seen by such a stretch. Like, it's like, okay, Thanos in the universe is an even fight. Why isn't Captain Marvel in the universe category?
I mean, here's even a thing, right? So, this is sort of ties into, upgrades and stuff. But, so Iron Man, right? Mm-hmm. Iron Man in the first movie has the original Iron Man suit from the comics, which is hideous. Yeah. That's what Iron Man used to look like. When he gets back to civilization, he builds a better one. And throughout the series of Avengers Iron Man, he gets upgraded.
Yeah, he's constantly upgraded.
So he can be on scale. He gets farther and farther on scale with these cosmic powers. And so he actually, basically... And he gives that to Spider-Man. He gives him the Iron Spider suit, which scales him up to these cosmic powers. Poor Hawkeye's just got a bow. He never gets scaled up. But no one cares. However, Hawkeye's, at the bottom was acceptable. We have the sliding scale. So Hawkeye's, near the bottom was acceptable. Thanos is at the top. And Iron Man actually moved on the scale. So we set up the rules for Iron Man, but he moved. And because we introduced more powerful things in the series, here's Thor. Okay, Iron Man has to now move up so he can be on level with Thor. Here's Thanos. Okay, Iron Man's moving up so he can get closer to Thanos now.
Yeah.
He moved because we actually did increase the scale, but we said, okay, here's our boundary.
Yeah, and it only moved a little bit each time.
Yeah.
And so, if you push the boundary, you're that's a moment of awesome.
It's character growth as well.
If you stretch the boundary, that's awesome. If you rupture it, then people just lose all in. It's like a balloon, right?
Yeah.
You want a bigger balloon, you blow a bit of air into it. Mm-hmm. You blow too much air, the balloon pops, you have a tiny balloon.
Yes. Or it's like doing scaling up with weights, right?
Yeah.
You work on 20 pounds a bunch, then you can get to 30. If you move to 100 pounds, you're going to break your back. You're going to get injured and it's going to suck.
So in the case of Pokemon and my game, it's not so much power level though, is it? Mm-hmm.
It's more a level of interesting.
I would argue that
how much is in it.
That creature with the 6 abilities or whatever is the weakest tier 3 in my game.
Yeah, it's not about power. It's more about just the wanting to set limits of what you just setting limits in general. When I came up with the sort of magic system, I try to come up with magic systems a bit like Brandon Sanderson, but I've had this thought for a long time, which is those aren't magic. And so I came up with a different way of magic, which is and I talked about this in my animation How to Magic, which is what can magic not do? What can it do? Not what does it do? It's what is its greatest, the most it can do, and what's the least it can do, and what can't it do?
Awesome.
And so you set all of those and then build from there. So it's what's the most I'm going to have? What's the least I'm going to have? Because I have this problem too. When I try to make armories for Warhammer, I'll go, okay, this guy has these abilities. Then everything else has to have its ability, and then there has to be more. And then when I get to the final creature I've made, it's several paragraphs on how it works. And I'm I don't actually want to play with this.
So, Robin Hobb has the best definition of magic I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So in her Forest Mage series, the main character is the Forest Mage. Yeah. And he is trying to do something. I believe he's trying to fast travel, possibly, or maybe heal someone. Yeah. And he can't. Or it doesn't work in the way he intends, or it doesn't work as much as he wants it to. Yeah. And at first he's disappointed, but then he's like, well, I guess that's what magic is. Because the first time you strike a flint against steel, it creates fire. That's magic. You just created fire. Yeah. But if it works every time, then it's science. Yeah. So magic is something that doesn't work every time. Yeah. Magic... So science is you put an input, you get an output. Yeah. Magic is you don't know what the input will give you.
That's pretty good because you do action, you get a result. You get a predictable result.
If you do an action and get a result, that's magic. if you do a action and get the same result every time, that's science.
Yeah, whereas magic is you're not exactly sure what might happen.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good definition of magic.
Oh, that would be a weird way to write a book. Okay, right?
Roll a die.
Yeah, you roll a dice and see if this thing will work.
I actually wrote a bit of a short story like that, where it was about like these monster hunters.
Yeah.
And I have created like a little battle system. Mm-hmm. And so my main characters just brutally get killed by these creatures, if they roll lucky or not. It's kind of fun, actually.
My more thought is basically, so...
Malazan does that.
You have magic, right?
Yeah.
And you, like, this is just to do your magic, right? So you sort of, like, set loosely what magic can do, but it's, like, pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And you roll a die, and whenever you, like, fail...
You have to think of something else.
The magic doesn't work, and the characters have to do something else. Or even, like, there's no spell which can do that. Like, you just create the rules, like, okay, I need a spell that can heal someone. It's like Gandalf, cast your healing magic. Oh, Philip, there's no spell that can heal this wound.
There is no such spell. Yeah, no, it's actually... I don't know if it's good, but it's very interesting to add randomness outside your control to writing. I've done it a few times, and it forces you to adapt, and it also forces you to be a lot harsher in some situations.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. I don't know if you should... At the end of the day, once your story was done, and you're like, if this went this way instead of this way, it would be a much better story. I think you should go back and change it.
Yeah.
And that's what DMs always say, right? Like, it's not about the role, it's about what makes a better story.
Yeah.
I disagree. If you're writing a story, then sure.
Yeah.
Fudge a little on your die rolls to get the cooler result. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe the final roll when the good guy's about to use this really cool spell to beat the bad guy, don't roll for it in your thing, right?
Yeah.
In D&D, you are playing a board game.
Yes, and even if the information is very limited, if you go through razor wire at 20 kilometers an hour, no, not 20, he was going through like 80 kilometers an hour, you die.
Well, actually, in that case, I think, like...
I feel bad.
Look, the DM can be forgiving, right?
Yeah.
What you can do is you can be like, the ship like shudders, you fall over, and like the razor wire misses you, or like shaves your head or something.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you just like flat out like, oh yeah, you can do that. No, like, I don't know. Anyways,
that's why you systemize it. Give them fate points so they can stop instant death.
Yeah, that kind of works. But I think people want to play a game with us, and they're not.
Yeah.
But we'll do that another time. But yeah, with my board game, actually, I did have some my JRPG, computer game, hopefully. I did have some baseline rules, which was tier 1s have an ability that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Tier 2s are the best at movement. There's no movement, but they're the most adaptable.
Yeah.
And they have one like decent okay ability.
Yeah.
And then tier 3s have a strong ability. That was sort of my rules. And then I came up with an ability a bit later where I was like, okay, things take -1 damage, which is actually massive in my system, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this would be crazy. And I was like, oh, I want to give it to this tier 1 because he specializes in defending other units. So it'd be really cool if he had like this -1 damage.
Yeah.
And the thing was, he already has 2 abilities that are decent, but they're nowhere near as good as this one. And I was like, oh, but I could buff him then, because he's like the weakest of the tier 1s. And my little rule at the start, I was like, I stopped myself. I was like, this is a tier 3 ability.
Yeah, create a new unit.
Yeah, this is like a really good ability. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the guidelines sort of saved me from myself a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like...
Well, it's even with the guidelines, like, if you're going to break them, you're only, like, allowed to break them once, almost.
Because it's like, okay, I create this guy, he's okay. I create this new guy, he's got an ability, he's super cool. Oh, I should go back and, like, fix that guy up. I'll give him, like, an ability that's even just a little bit cooler. Oh, now this guy's... I'm going to give... It's power creep.
Yeah.
It's like you're a Magic the Gathering designer.
Yeah, so that happens, like, there's power creep, but there's also creativity creep as well.
Yeah, you ever notice, like, the cards when, like, our dad has for Magic the Gathering versus when we started Magic versus Magic cards now?
Yeah.
Like, when we started Magic, there was, like, 4 abilities per card, 2 abilities, sometimes none. When Dad started, it was, like, 1 ability maybe.
Yeah.
And now the cards... They're like paragraphs on them.
Yeah.
And you're like, if you have 6 whatever tokens, then rotate your card clockwise. If you have 2, then rotate, and then this lets you summon a whatever that...
And then Rage Cow turns into Cool Cow, and he has sunglasses. And I take all the Cool Cows back into my deck, and I get to punch you with the cross.
And I'm not actually... The reason my game ended up as a JRPG, which I think will be better than most JRPGs, for me,
Yeah.
probably not for JRPG fans,
Yeah.
is because the only thing you can really do is attack.
Yeah.
And I think that the problem with a lot of games is they have a lot of decisions that don't matter.
Yeah.
There is a best choice, and like I think there is a lot of skill to a lot of these systems.
I have Firebolt or Sword Slash. Now, Firebolt takes a bit of mana and deals 5 more damage than Sword Slash. But I have to go through this extra menu to get the Firebolt, where I could just spam like Sword Slash with attack.
Yeah.
So I'll use Sword Slash purely.
Well, the other thing is, like if you look at people play like challenge runs of Pokemon, they can do some amazing stuff, like win against the Elite Four with like a level 5 Jigglypuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem, I think, is that Pokemon isn't hard enough.
Also, how most people play Pokemon is Charizard, use Blast Burn!
Well, that's exactly it. I think that for a JRPG to really shine, the game needs to be harder than it is. Because the optimal balance between time and effectiveness is fairly boring. Whereas optimal play takes way too much time.
Yeah.
And then unoptimal play is like you have to be kind of stupid to do because like completely unoptimal. So it's
Literally using Blast Burn against water types because it just deals so much damage and my Charizard's so high level it just doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't know. Why are we talking about this? I don't know.
You're talking about your RPG and design.
Yeah, but like what's with the simplicity thing and
Oh, you're talking about your attacks where you only attack once.
yeah, but before that it was like
We're just talking about design and having to have limits like
Yeah.
upper and lower.
yeah. No, I guess I just think my system it's like I don't know. Like I think Pokemon and other JRPGs, they do have a lot of skill in them.
Yeah.
But it takes so long. So I guess the advantage of my system is it's fast.
Yeah.
How about that? And it's also not going to be a JRPG. It's actually going to be... So what mine does is it is actually going to be an RPG.
Yeah.
Or more of an... RPG is used to mean leveling up thingy. So it's going to be an adventure game.
Yeah.
Right? But the battles are not going to be fought in real time. They're going to be fought in turn-based. And you're not going to use weapons. You're going to use your army.
Yeah.
And to keep that... And what happened was... So I looked at Heroes of Might and Magic, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Go, actually. It's similar to Heroes of Might and Magic. So the first move in Go...
Yeah.
How many possible moves are there? Okay, so it's a board that's 13 by 13.
Yeah.
So there's 169.
Yeah.
No. There is one move in the center.
Yeah.
And there is a quadrant of the board.
Yes.
So that is... That's 49. There's 50 possible moves at the start of Go.
Yeah.
Even though there's 169 spaces,
Yeah.
there's only 50 possible moves at the start of Go.
Yes.
My math could be a little off here, but that's basically it. Because other than the center, everywhere you go is a mirror image of somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually change it. The second move in Go, you can, like, your position in... It's still just a quadrant of the board.
Your second move in Go is even limited because you actually have to play near them.
Yeah, but in theory, let's say you could go anywhere.
Yeah.
You're still at least can only use half the board because every move you make can be mirrored somewhere else on the board, or you're in the middle line of the board.
Yeah.
So that is like 86 possible spots or something.
Yeah.
A little bit better than 50. That's it. The next turn, suddenly you have 167 spots or something.
Yeah.
Because now the board isn't mirrorable or as easily mirrorable.
Yeah.
So basically most spaces you can move on and go don't matter in a way.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about was with Heroes of Might and Magic, I wanted Heroes of Might and Magic badly.
Yeah.
But I wanted every choice you made to matter. Because in Heroes of Might and Magic, if you can move your gargoyle to the top left or to the top right, or sorry, to the top right or the bottom right,
Yeah.
to kite a unit, often it doesn't matter which one you go to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, then half the spaces are wasted on this map.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do you make every single decision matter? And I was like, what are you doing when you move? You are moving to do damage. You're moving to defend a unit. You are moving to gain an advantageous position. You are moving to get into a position where you can defend and retaliate against someone.
Yeah.
Basically. So I was like, okay, so in my game, you can attack, you can engage, which means that unit can't leave where you are, basically. Mm-hmm. You can seek an advantage, you can retaliate, you can guard, you can run away.
Yeah.
And so it's everything you can do in Heroes of Might and Magic.
Yeah.
But they're actions instead of spaces on the board.
Mm.
I'm not saying that's a better system. I actually really like movement systems.
Yeah.
But it was just sort of a thinking of like, I didn't want it to be a JRPG. I was just like, does this work? And then I was like, oh, it does work. How far can this go? And so I'm just seeing how far I can go with it, basically. Mm. And so it's like, I basically have made a tactics game, not a JRPG. But every choice matters in quotation marks. I'm not going to say I'm smart enough to actually make it that good. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about this game. That's fine. It's interesting.
It's something you've been doing.
Yeah,
and
it's fun.
Interesting to you.
Okay. I want to talk about Ancient Domains of Mystery, if I can. Okay. Unless you got something there.
No.
Okay, so the trailer for number 2 came out.
Okay.
So I want to talk about number 1 for a moment.
All right.
So there is 12 races, 22 classes,
Yes.
2 genders.
Yep.
Okay. So, second game.
Yeah.
4 races, 4 classes, 6 genders. It's a bit weird.
Gender was kind of like the least important thing.
Yeah. So apparently it actually has a stat effect in number 1, though. It's tiny. Like, it basically doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's there. And I think it's a little strange. So talk about it a bit. First of all, 4 races.
Yeah.
I'm fine. So in the first game there was 12.
Yeah.
But you had like moon elves and forest elves and
dark elves.
So I think you could basically say, okay, there's elves.
Yeah.
And then you had orcs and you had trolls and you're like, okay, there's just ogre things.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, there's humans, sure. And then they added ratmen for some reason.
Well, things like halflings and small things. So you
yeah,
have
those are humans.
Yeah.
Or they can be ratmen and humans sort of divided. So with the races, it's like, I think they really should have done like 6 or 8, but it is early access because nothing releases anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Classes. I'm actually very much for reducing from 22 to 4. Because there's like 10 different kinds of wizard. Just make that one kind of wizard.
Yeah, no, I remember
There's like
that.
10 kinds of fighter. Make that one kind of fighter. There's like 10 kinds of like carpenter / farmer / whatever. Just make that one class.
Yeah.
So have fighter class, have wizard class, have utility class, and have
sneaky class.
So, or even put the sneaky in fighter and have like psychics, because they do have psychics in the first game. Okay, I'm fine with that. 6 genders. I'm actually okay with this because they say in their lore there is more genders in their world. But if that was the reason they did it, that's fine. Cool, whatever. I don't care. Don't put that in your trailer as one of your features. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, oh right, this game, there's 80 different skills. There is 200 spells. There is 4 races, 4 classes, and 6 gender. Like, why is that in your trailer? Okay, so you're like, okay, they put in their trailer. They didn't have anything else to talk about their game. Their game is that. There's so little in the game, they needed that feature. People complained about this on the Steam page and on the dev's website.
Yeah.
It's not actually the original developer making this game, which is also another bad sign. They also want to focus on story, which is another bad sign. They don't have an overworld, which is kind of Adam's thing. So,
how can you have a story in Adam?
No idea.
Because a roguelike is literally a storytelling generator.
Well, Caves of Cud kind of has one, but I don't like it. So
I've played Caves of Cud. I've played Adam. I've played NetHack. I have tried to play Rogue. I couldn't actually get it working. I know Rogue actually has a story. If you want to get the gem.
Well, yeah, like all of them have that.
But like the story's like Dark Souls story. There's a thing you want to do. There's some stuff in the background. Then you just play.
Yeah. Well, Caves of Cud actually they kind of do that where like every item has a little thing to it and every. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just mean like it's sort of like
That might be what they're doing in Ancient Domains of Mystery. Just trying to make the world coherent. Like, they haven't given much detail, so that could be okay.
yeah.
But still, it's kind of like, meh. But what they did was when people complained, they linked something on their website. So you go to that, and they're German developers,
yeah,
and they signed some sort of vow that other German developers signed,
yeah.
which is to have more inclusivity in their games.
Okay.
Because they don't want to make anyone feel excluded. So they said the reason they added 6 genders was so that people could feel included.
Yeah.
This is either dumb marketing or like some SJW like virtue signal thing, or really misunderstanding a situation, I think.
Yeah.
Because someone actually said, like I think a trans person or a trans activist or something, like, they said on it, like, so the concept of gender itself is kind of sexist. And I had never heard anyone say this before, and I was like, wow, you're right. Like sex is like, okay, what's your biological? Like, XX, XY, XXY.
Yeah.
You've got like 5 options, maybe. Maybe 4.
There's a lot of conditions.
Yeah, but like they generally are like...
Yeah.
And typically you would still say...
Yeah.
Like the male or female external features.
Yeah.
In most cases. They said, because if you think about it this way, for gender being sexist, it sounds weird. I am feeling very masculine today. I think I'll do the laundry. I'm feeling very feminine today. I think I'm going to go build a house.
Eat meat.
And eat meat.
Bathe in gravy.
People don't say that. Right?
Yeah.
So if you want to say that men can do things and women can do things,
yeah,
then a woman should still be allowed to be a woman if she likes doing carpentry. Yeah. And a man should still be allowed to be a man if he likes fashion or baking or...
Bathing gravy.
Bathing in gravy, yeah. So, I think that does ignore the fact that our culture has created feminine and masculine cultural norms.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you have to follow them, but they do exist.
Yeah.
However, I don't think that doing something outside the norm should detract from you. And the MMPI, I think it actually talks about your behavioral leanings towards male or female roles.
Yeah.
And it basically said to me, get a life or get a gender or something. It was like, yeah, you do like 50% feminine or 40% masculine, but you're supposed to be at like 80% in one. Like, and it's not like you should be at 80% in one and 20 in the other. Yeah. You should be at like 80-50. Ah. But for me, I was like 40-50. And it's like, yeah, you need to like do stuff. Or like be more stereotypical or something. I don't know.
So I felt with my political eating. It's like, you are very, very much in the middle.
Because you're an extremist.
Actually.
So that person's...
That's actually an interesting thing just to think about. You actually could be you could be a middle extremist.
Yeah.
Weird.
So this
that's so weird. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It is kind of like, I wonder if, I don't know if they have like a check for that or something. They should also have like an extremism sort of marker, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe that's where you need like an extra axis so it can become a cube.
And it could show like a little like inverted U or something, like,
yeah, because
you're weighted more towards the edges or something.
Yeah.
Like actually 3D would be fine. It wouldn't be that hard to look at. You could just keep it as a 3-dimensional like sheet, basically. Yeah. It wouldn't have to be like a thing. So the I guess it'd be more like, no, it would have to, yeah, okay. So if they did it so that people could be like, well, I want my character to be all girly and do girly things, then they're being kind of like, oh, you can't do what you want. So they're actually reinforcing gender roles rather than freeing from them. Now, if they want it to be that people of different genders can play, the idea of having a gender, I think, is kind of weird as well. Yeah. Maybe I'm an exception here, because I don't really know how you would know what you want to be without also being something else. Like my gender is female because I think female things. Do you? What do women think?
Yeah.
Do you a mind reader? That doesn't quite make sense. Now there is some.
My gender is male because I do not think.
Now studies on transgender people have found that, and I don't know how exact this is, that there is certain aspects of brains that are found almost only in women, and there's certain aspects of brains that are found almost only in men.
Yeah.
And transgender women actually have the women-like brains, even though they have a male body.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they know this, but apparently they do somehow. Right. Like, I don't know how the people themselves know this. Like, the people with the MRIs, sure, you just look at the brain. But the people that are just thinking, I don't know how they're like, these are female brain thinking. It's like, how would you know? But apparently they do. Okay.
All right.
But if it's about representation, first of all, I think the idea of representation is silly.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, in a roguelike, it's fun to be able to play as someone that is just like you, because then you're like, okay, I'm kind of strong, I'm kind of fast, I've got blonde hair, here we go, this sort of thing. I'm not describing myself, I just was coincidence anyways.
I was more thinking like, blonde hair, that in the hidden stats that reduces intelligence.
Actually, I had a solution for them, I'll come to. I'm like, okay, now I can play as myself. I'll name them after myself, and I get to play as them. That's fun. So it's kind of fun to have the option, I guess. But I think that I can play Geralt in The Witcher. I can play Samus in Metroid. I don't care. Like, and if I read Harry Potter, I actually find Hermione is the most identifiable. Like, a normal upbringing, she loves magic.
I like Ron.
Ron knows so much about the magical world, though. He's not really like... You're like, I'm not on the same wavelength as Ron.
I feel a deep connection with Ron.
You know all the magical stories and stuff, and
well, yeah, actually,
easily angered and like afraid of spiders.
Not so much anymore.
Bit of a pig when you eat.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So they only did 6 genders, and you look at some of those lists; they go from like 20 to 400.
Yeah.
Who knows? So they're excluding people. Plus, one of the genders is tentacled. Now, this brings up another issue. So that seems kind of like mockery, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a mockery of
or
the system.
Just weird.
Now, they said that in their lore it's a thing, right? But now I think this is a translation. They're German. Mm-hmm. If you are a ratling, right?
Yeah.
With the body of a biological male, but you feel like in your head that you act more like a tentacled. What does that even mean? I think they might be talking about sex. But if they're talking about sex, then can your characters get completely naked? Or why should we care?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't there just be a male-ish looking... Like, you know how Mii's in Nintendo? It's like... They say like choose the skirt one or choose the non-skirt one. They don't say male or female. They're just like, like, can't you just say, hey, do you want the character that looks kind of like a male or kind of like a female? Like, you're not going to get naked. Like, it's very weird that they do it this way. Also, if you choose the non-binary gender, gives like that horrible, well, some people like it, and I'm not going to take it. I personally really dislike this. Shaved half of head, short flipped over hair on the other half of head. Like, they're stereotyping.
Yeah.
So that's not great on that side. There's a lot of issues. I can't even remember because I have so many like complaints about it, and there's so many weird things that they've done. My solution, right, for the developers, you choose a body type.
Yeah.
This male-ish looking body, this female-ish looking body.
Yeah.
You choose a hair type. So you can have the flip over hair and be a man, or you can have the flip over hair and be a tentacled, whatever. You're not limited. Then you choose a hair color.
Yes, the genders in our game are man and tentacle.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
You choose a hair color.
Yeah.
And you have your character. Now, what they have is that men have +1 strength. Women have +1 dexterity. Both, or whatever they call it, I think they call it both or something, has +1 strength and +1 dexterity. Non-binary has neither. They have no bonus. Tentacled has like +1 charisma or something. I can't remember. I don't think it was charisma. But
Intelligence.
and like it was non-binary has +1 appearance. Neuter or whatever has no bonus, and tentacled has, I don't remember. It might have been intelligent. But they're making everyone, like, if you're like an SJW, you're gonna be angry with this.
Yeah.
If you're like a staunch, like, there are men and women and that is it, and everyone else is a mentally deranged chimpanzee, you're gonna be angry with it.
Yeah.
If you are like some sort of stat hound, you're gonna know, well, this is kind of boring. And the other thing is, English is fairly easy to do, right?
Yeah.
They said in German, the pronouns are so difficult to deal with, they had to dedicate a significant amount of time to making the system work. Which means, if you don't care about this at all,
Yeah.
these people are wasting time
Yeah.
implementing this invisible system. Because they
I
said
wonder if that's why Bell Brothers has a problem.
they don't want
The team's German.
Oh.
So maybe that's why they don't want to add
women.
women.
Oh, maybe.
Well, the mods have added them because the mods do it all in English, but they might actually be doing it in German, then translating to English.
That could be, actually. That would make sense.
That actually would make it way harder as well.
That's probably why. And if you're like, they made the stats not really matter, so you're wasting time on something that doesn't matter. If you're like, okay, stats don't matter, you're using time, fine, but you're putting this in your advertising material as if
It matters.
as if it matters. So they're saying it matters, but then it's like, okay, so your gender really matters? No, your gender doesn't matter. We're all inclusive, but your gender matters. Like, they can't win with what they've done.
Yeah.
So yeah, my suggestion is 2 body types. Don't call them anything. Just be like, do you want this body type or this body type? Do you want this hair or this hair? Do you want this color? And then let the player be like, my character's non-binary. My character has the body of a man, but they think they're a woman. And like, here's the thing I don't understand, right? Transient, right?
Yes.
If you're a transgender woman, surely you're just a woman.
Oh, well, you've somehow gone to my topic that I didn't want to do.
Like, you shouldn't identify as a trans person.
Well, you know Blair White, right?
Yeah.
So, online, she is trans,
Yes.
because that's what she talks about.
Yeah.
In her life,
She's a woman.
yes.
Yeah.
And, like, it's very clear about that.
Yeah, I think that there's people trying to help that are instead reinforcing stereotypes in effort to try to eliminate them. Like, it's insane. There's these people saying, like, you like this kind of haircut or this kind of thing, therefore you must be this. Like, oh, well, like, you see the states in the States where it's like, oh, well, John likes wearing, like, dresses and his mom's shoes and whatnot, so we're going to get him, like, hormone therapy or whatever, and the dad's fighting to stop it. It's like, why can't a boy like wearing dresses?
Yeah,
Why are we suddenly in the 1950s?
yes, no,
Like, you know, I think it's India. Like, I think it's India. I could be wrong. Or no, it's in Saudi Arabia or something.
yeah, sorry.
Being gay is illegal.
Yeah.
And so they will do, like, forced transgender, like, I don't know how far they go, but at the very least, legal stuff. And they'll, like, it's like, oh, well, you like dresses? Well, then the only thing for you is to be a woman. That's the only thing or, oh, you like rubbing yourself in oil? Then you must be a man. And so we're going to, like they...
Yeah.
And so they actually enforce stereotypes. And I think it's Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's
Several countries, actually.
and so that's that's kind of what they're doing with if they hadn't signed the thing to be inclusive, you're like, oh, they're making a joke, that's fun, or oh, their world's kind of interesting, it's got 6 genders, tell me more about it. But that's in the trailer, so it's like, oh, they think this is a gameplay feature.
Yeah.
It's not just a world building feature.
Yeah.
Their artists are like spending, I mean, artists have too much time anyway, so it's probably fine.
Depends.
Depends on the game, but a lot of time artists actually have too much time. So
Yeah.
although in a roguelike, I kind of wonder because there's so much like clothing you'd have to do.
It also depends on the team size because sometimes the artist is the programmer.
Yeah. They sign the letter and they add a text box that says, "What's your gender?" You type it in. You're like, okay, they want to appeal to Not even SJW, just politically correct.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, fine. I don't personally agree with it, but you want to do it, you want to do it. Or they're like, here's a text box because we want anyone to feel welcome here.
And you're like, I don't care. And you rub your face across the keyboard.
Well, no, I'm like, if there's people that is a feature that makes them feel welcome or lets them get more immersed in the game, like I saw one guy say, like, actually he appreciates the more genders because...
He identifies as tentacle.
Well, maybe it wasn't he. I don't know. But they anyways, said they appreciate the more genders because it means that when their character has that much more detail to them and that much closer to them, it makes losing all the more painful, and they like that. And I was like, yeah, that's a roguelike player.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they just can't... They can't win with it, and the fact that it's like, okay, you have this out while we sign this document. Well, you have this out while we put in the trailer. Well, you have this out, but we put in the tentacled thing. It's like, could you at least be an SJW? Like, there is nothing they've done right? Like,
yeah.
I don't...
Well, one of the funny things sort of related to that almost is, like, Cyberpunk talked about it. And there's some, like, people upset with Cyberpunk because some people are like, oh, they're trying to pander to this group.
Yeah.
And that upsets people on both sides. Like, oh, you're trying to pander? Well, you're not doing a very good job. Or it's like, why are you pandering?
Yeah.
If you know about the source material of Cyberpunk...
That's just the world.
It's just the world. It's a world where your body doesn't matter so much that you can do anything to it.
Now,
That it's actually just Cyberpunk. Like, when they made the game, I don't think they're actually thinking about, oh, we're doing this for this or whatever. There's like, this... Okay, Cyberpunk core materials of the RPG. Okay, yeah, let's make it like this.
Now, if Ancient Domain's a mystery, right? Mm-hmm. If that was their world, like there's there's 6 for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And they did something like a NetHack where like if you there's like 2 or 3 cases, but it's like if you're a female like cockatrice, if you're a male cockatrice, you can hatch eggs or something, and if you're a female human, nymphs won't attack you. There's like 2 or 3 cases in NetHack.
Yeah.
If they had a bunch of those in Adam, where it's like, this is a succubus that will kill you if you're a male or a both, but all the others are safe. But then there's like the girls only club that neither can't get into or something. Or if they did something like that with it, then they at least have
the tentacle sound.
they at least have some systems. But they also called it gender.
Yeah.
Which they putting themselves in a corner in the English language, because it's like the guard, like the succubus is like, so what do you identify as?
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't, and so all people that identify as male are attracted to succubuses. There can't be gay men. Like there isn't winning here. And the other thing is, if that was all in the background, they signed this thing and they had that there. They're like, we're going to be inclusive. We're going to sign this thing. I don't know. Putting in the trailers and having tentacled still. I don't know. Okay, wait. Okay, I almost felt a moment of like empathy there. Let me. So you're like, okay, you know what? We've signed this thing. We're going to put in some genders. It's not a major feature of the game, but there's people that they feel like they're not represented most of the time. So we're just going to let them know that's in the game. We'll put it in the trailer. And tentacle is also part of our universe because we're having a fun universe. And we're only going to have 3 extra genders beyond. It almost works if you like stay in that mindset. But then when they got so much backlash, then you think it'd start falling apart. Mm-hmm. It'd be a weird hill to fight for because it was so tenuous to begin with. But I could almost see how this happened.
Okay, here's how I see it happen, right? So, for whatever reason, you sign the contract, right?
Yeah.
Maybe signing it gives you like a little bit of funding from the German government or something.
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason, you sign this thing. And you're like, okay, so we decided to be inclusive.
I think they just signed it because they cared.
Yeah, but we decided to be inclusive, so we're doing that through like the things.
Yeah.
So we're going to, what genders are there? And we're like, okay, we're going to go with male, female. Then we're going to have neither. We're going to have both.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Now we need non-binary.
Yeah.
Yes, so we'll put that in there. And
that's kind of their other section.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, and let's have something silly. Tentacle.
Yeah.
There we go. That's fun. And we're done. So non-binary will cover everything we're missing And somehow, if non-binary doesn't cover that, then we have tentacle.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we've done that. So character creation is a big part of this game. So let's have everyone know everything about character creation.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. And also, like...
What's non-binary?
This is where it's kind of weird again, because non-binary is like, you don't subscribe to the idea that there's only men and women.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's already 5 other classes, so it should really be non-quintary or something.
Yeah.
Like, I am not a man, woman, neither, both, or tentacled.
Yeah.
Identifying. The whole identifying... Like, look, you're going into a dungeon to kill things. I don't care what you think you are.
The warg isn't going to care what it chews on.
Okay, you know how there's some, like, very important things about yourself? Mm-hmm. Like, let's say my arm injury, for example. Yeah. Like, I don't like it. I don't identify with it, let's say. But it is a major portion of my life, right?
Yeah.
I will go for hours without remembering or thinking about it, right? Yeah. And a lot of that's when I'm having fun or there's an intense moment. There's some, like, oh, I have glasses, or, oh, I can't sing. Like, there's these little defining, or let's say, I am a man or something. There's these defining features. Very important parts of your life, right?
Yeah.
If I was in the Caverns of Chaos,
yeah,
I would not think about that ever.
Yes.
I would be way too busy fighting for my life and then probably dying anyways.
Yes. Well, go at my arms.
But no, I wouldn't even, like, even a severe injury, I would ignore because I would be too busy just, like, fighting for my life. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, my last dying thought is like, I identify as non-binary.
Well, I mean, even with, like, what you're thinking about. Okay, so when I was doing team fighting in medieval armor, there's one point where I got stuck against a fence. Yeah. So 2 guys were working on me, basically. One of them had me pinned to a fence and was grabbing my helmet and trying to drag me down. Yeah. I was holding on to the fence so I wouldn't go down. The other guy had taken out his falchion and was hitting me in the back of the legs. Yeah. So I was in constant pain in the back of my legs. And I was also getting choked out by my helmet strap. Yeah. I was holding on, I was like, okay, I'm wearing armor, I'll leave bruises so I can tolerate this pain. I'm getting choked out. Someone might come and save me. How long can I hold on before I pass out?
And I'm non-binary.
I was thinking that. No, my main thought was, I have to figure out the point where I let go so I don't get choked out and die. Like, that's my only thought was, okay, how do I, like, getting hit in the legs by a sword? Not a problem. Getting choked out might cause brain damage eventually. How long can I hold on to here? Yep, no, I don't feel like getting choked out anymore. I let go.
If I can't breathe, how can I express my gender fluidity?
So, yeah, you won't be thinking about those things in Caves of Chaos.
This is a woman's sword strike, sir. Watcha. Like, if they have the Witch King. Imagine, like, okay, right? It's Eomir, not Eowyn, right?
Yeah.
No man can defeat me. Fool. I identify as a woman. Boom. Okay, you know what? I'm suddenly on board with...
Add that to, what was it? The, game with, where you, the dungeons or whatever. The Lord of the Rings...
Oh, Angband?
Yeah, add that to Angband. Gender identity to Angband. So you have an edge when fighting the Witch King.
That... You know, if they do that with... Okay, if they do that with, like, Ancient Domains of Mystery, cool. That's actually fun. But the problem is they signed this letter.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, can you... Okay, obviously you can. You can support something while making fun of it, right?
Yeah.
But is that something you want to publish? Like, I don't know. I'm feeling more and more sympathetic towards them the more I think about this. Mm-hmm. But I don't like this weird feeling of empathy. So I'm going to... They also have added data tracking. And the only way to avoid it is to sign up for an account in Unity and then request them to stop, which is like the most convoluted path ever. So, like Minecraft, there's a check bar.
Okay, so when you launch Cyberpunk, it says, would you like to sign up for data tracking? It's so we can fix the bugs. You don't have to.
See, that's... The thing is, right, that I want the Age of Wonders people to get, and I want these Ancient Domains of Mystery people, and even Minecraft to a degree. Mm-hmm. You put that box there, I will say yes. I actually want to help your game, but I don't want to not
have a choice or
to
have
not
to
have a
opt
choice
out.
or have to opt out. Like, I want to help you. I just don't want you to be taking... Like, look, here's the thing. Your company is going to die out in like 10 years. Most game companies don't last.
Yeah.
Like CD Projekt Red might be around for longer. They've got a lot of backing. Like the AAA companies, they're going to be around.
Yeah.
But even like their servers shut down, they switch servers, they switch hosting sites, stuff changes.
Yeah.
If I go back and I play, if you go and play like
Heroes 2?
Realms by Team Liquid, Battle Realms,
Realms, yeah.
everything works perfectly. If you play Shogun 2...
I might actually put that in like my top games of all time, just because it works so well.
If you go and play Shogun 2,
Yeah.
there's links to a bunch of EA storefronts that don't work and leg out your game.
Yeah.
And like the screen is a mess. It's like, here's the EA newsletter, here's the total, it's a mess. You go and try to play War for the Ring.
Yeah.
The online servers don't work. Like they're gone. So Age of Wonders crashes occasionally ever since they announced the data tracking. Not necessarily, maybe it was there all along, but ever since it's been crashing a lot more, and I've been like locked out of the game a few times.
Yeah.
Once Paradox is out of business or Triumph is out of business, their game is going to be permanently marred with this thing that's just sucking energy from your computer and pinging it off into nowhere.
Unless some Eurojanker recreates the whole game.
But that doesn't even like there's just this, it's drawing more energy than it needs to.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. Like, it might be a tiny, tiny bit, but why not make your game as pure and clean a system as you can instead of all this extra bloat?
Yeah, bloatware.
Yeah, like Shogun Total War.
It actually doesn't run a lot of the time.
That menu is a pain. Like, it's ugly, and look, the thing is, it's ugly, and it serves no purpose. Like, EA isn't going to make money from that stuff. It's like, oh, buy the DLC for our game that's like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 14 or something.
Yeah, I expressed those concerns actually with Idris Lord of the Undead.
Yeah.
They have a little splash screen of the small studios at their games. And I said, these games aren't the same type of game as this. Sure, you're trying to advertise your company, but like, how long will it stay there? Will this game get old and stuff? Like in my little review of it, I basically said like, this is one of my least favorite parts of the game is the menu with this advertisement thing.
Yeah.
Because it's there, and the only reason I'll click on it is by accident.
Yeah.
Besides the first time I've looked at it. So the first time I look at it, I might go, okay, that's interesting. After that, I'll only click on it by accident. Then it'll send me to a link on a website to a game.
Yeah.
And
it might be broken 10 years from now.
And in the moment, it's annoying.
Yeah. And you'll just send you to like nowhere if you click on it at some point down the line.
Yeah.
Now here's Heroes of Might and Magic 2, which I think you might have been getting at. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It has an Easter egg.
Yeah.
That is a teaser for their next game.
Yeah.
It doesn't send you to a website. It doesn't send you to some prototype YouTube. It has the video in the system.
Yeah.
Which you could say is actually
unnecessary space.
Is unnecessary space. So that is a downside.
Yeah.
But you don't know it's there. You have to find it. So I see it more as an Easter egg.
Yeah.
But it is taking up space, I will admit.
Yeah.
On a game that's small to begin with, I don't really care. But that is still taking up space.
Yeah.
And like I was thinking actually though, if I ever made games, I might put like a demo for my game as an Easter egg somewhere, which does take up space.
Yeah.
But it's a space that's a theoretical benefit to the player. I guess you could say the same about the permanent theoretical benefit to the player.
Yeah.
The advertisement for Heroes...
it's like putting the first 3 chapters of a series.
Yeah.
At the end of your book.
Yeah, to see if you want to get the next book.
Yeah.
It's a permanent theoretical bonus. In Heroes of Might and Magic 2, the preview for Heroes... of Might and Magic 7 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Is a theoretical bonus because you're informed about what's in the game. It's more of an ad. Like if they had a demo of number 7, then you'd be like, oh, I want to buy this game. Then that's a permanent theoretical bonus, I think. Whereas...
It's just done so tastefully and has nice music.
Yeah, it's done really well. Whereas something like, here's our storage page that doesn't work, and here's this system that's just pinging off into nowhere.
Yeah.
That benefited you once upon a time, maybe, but now it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, like, here's the Might and Magic 6. You could only play online, and then they shut down the servers. Now, in a weird act of kindness from Ubisoft, they actually patched the game so you don't have to be online.
Yeah.
But it could have just as easily killed the game. Just, sorry, can't play anymore.
It
Like,
sort of did kill the game, actually, for a while.
like, Nintendo, I don't even blame Nintendo for this, but it's the nature of a lot of games. Mario Maker 1, they took down the servers, so you can no longer upload games to it. Now, they actually made it so I think you can still download from their servers, which is very nice of them. I mean, it should be standard, really, but that is costing them money for no money gained, so that is nice of them. But these online invisible features that benefit you, like your company is eventually going to die or stop caring about this game, and then you're just hurting your loyal fans. I don't know.
Okay.
I was just feeling too kind towards the company, so I had to talk about how they have the. I think they messed up, but I don't think their hearts were in the wrong place. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Like, if they're virtue signaling, then I'm less towards it, and if it's... But it could have been worse. But that's the trailer. So if you're starting to feel uneasy about the trailer, what's the game like?
Yeah.
So it's not on my wish list anymore anyways. It was number 4 on my wish list of like 100 games, and now it's not on the wish list.
Yeah.
That said, hopefully once it's out of early access, I'll see it and I'll be like, man, they put this together really nicely and I'll want to play it.
I really want to play as a tentacle.
Yeah, I want to be... Or if they did something like the +1+... Like, if tentacle was like, you can teleport once every 1,000 turns, and non-binary was like, you're ambidextrous. And like if they did something like that, that'd be really cool.
Yep.
Like a little benefit that's totally unique.
Yeah.
Like... Then that is actually, because what they've done then is they said you have 4 classes times 4 races times 6 genders. That's 16 times 6, whatever that is. 96. That's 90. No, 102, something like that. Thinking too hard about this. 36, 96. It is 96. That's 96 possible runs you can do.
Yeah.
But right now there's actually 16 because the genders don't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Hope you fix your game.